You always get that fast food reference, and I really admire that about you. You can make it happen no matter what.
I'm fantastic, really Mo.
You are so
brilliant.
You're a pro.
I'm not curing cancer, but goddamn it, I can tell you which fast food place to go to. By the way, real quick, Chipotle. As everyone knows, I love a good Chipotle. Almost made my shout outs as well, but
hide your kids. Lock the doors. You're listening to HR's most dangerous podcast. Chad Sowash and Joel Cheeseman are here to punch the recruiting industry right where it hurts. Complete with breaking news, brash opinion, and loads of snark. Buckle up, boys and girls. It's time for the Chad and Cheese Podcast.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to take off your clothes to have a good time, but it sure as hell does help. Hi, kids. It's the Chad and Cheese Podcast. I'm your co-host, Joel Tariff-Free Cheeseman.
And I'm Maureen, a.k.a. Mo. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Clough.
That's right. And on this episode, ZipRecruiter crashes, LinkedIn is killing Gen Z, and who'd you rather? Let's do this.
At Shaker Recruitment Marketing, our comprehensive services include branding, talent attraction, MarTech, and analytics, empowering you to achieve your recruitment marketing goals. We believe in doing things the right way, delivering the right message through the right activation, achieving the right conversion. For us, business is deeply personal. Our legacy is built on relationships. Together with our people, clients, and partners, we've been shaping the world of talent for over 70 years.
Our first time together, Mo. Are you nervous?
I mean, a little bit. I'm slightly uncomfortable. I don't know.
I'm just glad I finally know who you are.
I know, that is a plus. That was remarkably hilarious. So we got to take people back to this. I was at HR Tech last year, sitting in your booth on your couch. You were in there with smart recruiters, right? And I'm sitting there talking to you for like a full 5 minutes, fully assuming you knew who I was because, we had met before and had a long conversation. And at the end, you're like, so what's your deal? What's your deal? What you doing here? What you trying? And I was like, Joel, it's Mo. I was like, am I that forgettable? I mean,
doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
It was amazing. How was that for you?
I'm 53 and my brain is dying. So let me throw that in there.
It starts early.
I did not put together, because people that listen to us regularly know that you and Emmy and JT are now sort of on the show. And before you were on the show, we were sort of both Chad and I had like thrown in people that we wanted and like, and you were Chad's person. So Chad was like, you got to get to know Maureen. And I was like, okay, cool. And we never got on the show together. So at HR Tech, I think Chad reached out to you and said, okay, you got to make nice with Joel, like get to know Joel. And I'm like, why is this chick like as interested as she is? Like she has this podcast, maybe she wants to be on the show. And it was all, it was kind of weird. And then Chad was like, amazing. That's fucking Mo. Oh, well, and you're also Mo and you're Maureen, which is confusing to me.
It was a little confusing. Yeah, I'm both.
Confused. Maureen, Mo, like who is this person? Yeah, like
different
I'm
vibes,
Cheese, I'm Joel, like I can be confusing too.
We can be more than one thing, right?
We finally got on. Now this is the funny thing. You've only done like with Chad, and he's always in Europe and he's drinking. So you thought I must have to be drinking on the show. So
I literally thought it was a prereq.
When we're in the green room, you're like, is it okay if I don't drink? Because it's like 10 a.m. where you are and it's Wednesday. So I said, what are you talking about? No, you don't have to drink. Like I never really drink. I'm drinking water. And so it's just funny that you thought a prerequisite to be on our show.
I really and truly did. It
makes it easier. Yeah. We're way more tolerable and entertaining when you're drunk, but no, it is not. It is not a prerequisite.
It's good to know. I was like, this could become a problem.
Yeah. Unlike saying thank you in the Oval Office, drinking on the Chad and Cheese podcast is not. is not a priority. Any thoughts on the insanity that is the world right now?
Oh man,
did you see the speech?
I feel like, I didn't see the speech. I kind of got like clips from people and heard the takes from people. I'm like, I don't need to see it to know what it's going to be. And I know I'm going to hate it. And it's just going to make my blood pressure rise. It's going to do something to my body. And I just don't need that. So I avoided. And yeah, it's just like the mental health aspect of all of this. Like I have to kind of tune it out a little bit. I got to go like touch grass, literally and proverbially. I've got to hang out with family, friends, community. I just got to turn it off, frankly. Yeah. It's like, I've done what I can do for the most part. And I need to be like relatively informed, but not super informed, right? Like I just need to kind of like get through this period. So I'm like that meme that's been around for like 10 years. That's like the dog sitting with a cup of coffee at a table with fire behind him saying everything is fine. Like that is how I'm trying to live my life right now because it's the only way I know how. And it just feels like this sort of ominous cloud, like 2020 vibes, like, oh shit, like stuff is happening. That's how it feels to me. And I'm told by my therapist, countless others. So there you go.
Your therapist says, drink on the podcast that you do to help you get through.
Get you through whatever you need to do, girl. No shame. Yeah.
It's only 46 and a half more months left, Mo. Yeah. So we're in,
we're going to be fine. Everything's fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good. Do you watch the Oscars? Is that a thing you do or no?
It's funny. I couldn't watch the Oscars because my internet went out. Apparently Seattle had the power go out, the internet go out in 1 week. And I was like, oh shoot. And then I got on my Sling or whatever online and it wasn't hooked up to the right ABC channel. So no, I did not watch it live, but I did see clips. And let me tell you, the thing that gave me life was Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's performance of Defying Gravity. Like holy chills. Oh my gosh, incredible. Yeah, that was like, I literally sobbed. Yeah. It was, so clearly I needed to get some things out.
the Oscars to me now are like the Grammys. I don't know anyone. I've never seen these people. Unless it's an old guy history movie like Oppenheimer, like I probably haven't seen.
You're not there.
So, but I have, is it Anora? Anora won Best Picture, right?
It did,
my wife tricked me into watching this because it's about a stripper. And I said, I'll give it a shot, see how it goes.
She knows the way to your heart. That's
and
a
by the way,
one.
it's a naughty movie.
Yeah,
it's a naughty movie.
Well, it's got Russia in there, right? Like Russia.
There's Russians are in it. I mean, it's oligarchs. But I came away and I was like, that sucked. That was awful. And then it ends up getting Best Picture. Yeah, I hated it.
So you hated it.
I hated it as much as I hated Parasite, which also won Best Picture.
I never saw that. I hated
both of them. Yeah. Give me old guy history movies about World War II. And
You're
I'm in.
there.
Otherwise not. So also happened this week. It was almost a topic. So Target, as you know, because you listen to the show and you've been on it, you know that they've abandoned, like everyone else, their DEI initiatives. However, they were more into it than other companies. Like they had special sections about it and they celebrated it. So there's apparently a 40-day boycott of Target going on. And everyone's going to Costco instead, who's been sort of steadfast in their DEI initiative. So, are you a Target shopper? Are you going to boycott? Are you a Walmart person? What's your shopping online? Amazon, right? Because you're in Seattle.
Yeah, 100% Costco, though. I mean, that's Seattle too. So I'm a big Costco fan. Always have been. Like companies that do the right thing right now. Like I want to give you all of my money. Like this matters. And so Target, I've never really been big on it anyway, so I'm fine. But I know that it's like a very mainstay in a lot of, especially working parents' lives, and understandably so, right? Like, but I think at this point, the best thing we can do is make very deliberate and intentional choices with our money. And so Target, you ain't getting any of mine. Sorry. It's not happening.
And no chance they have $1.50 hot dog anytime soon at
No,
Target.
You're right. There's no way. No way.
Unlike Costco.
You always weave in. You always get that fast food reference in. I really admire that about you. You can make it happen no matter what.
I'm fantastic, Mo.
You are so
brilliant.
You're a pro.
I'm not curing cancer, but God damn it, I can tell you which fast food place to go to. By the way, real quick, Chipotle, as everyone knows, I love a good Chipotle. Almost made my shout outs as well, but they are not going to raise prices because of tariffs, because God damn it, it's Chipotle. They're the only fast food place that has come out and said that. So don't expect price increases because it's already so efficiently, it's so cheap as it is, right? The prices will not be going up at Chipotle. So let's get to some shout outs, shall we? I know you have one that's on your mind.
Yeah, I just want to shout out the very brave employees at Meta who are peeling back the curtain. And I'm not saying another phrase, by the way. You'll note I did not mention anything about kimono. We learned, right? We learned. Okay. Anyway,
yeah, I'm not very smart.
I'm here to teach. But so anytime. So the employees at Meta who have let us in on the inner workings of what's going on at that absolute shithole at this point, I'm so impressed with them, because even though some of them were summarily fired because of revealing what happened inside the organization and the things that Zuckerberg and others were saying, even still, people are leaking to the press. So Business Insider came out with an article today talking all about what's going on behind the scenes, including the fact that Meta actually has this list that's of people who will never be able to be rehired at the company again, which is apparently very unusual for a company. And so people are finding out that they're not getting these jobs. They're getting ghosted by recruiting agencies that were, before that point, really excited about their candidacy at Meta. And they're like, what's going on? Turns out they're on this list. And apparently not even like being related to the CEO can get you off of it. So that, especially now that we know Meta is axing people that they find to leak information, the fact that people are still doing it, like, just major props to people who want to allow everybody to know what's really going on behind the scenes in corporate. And it's dark, man. So props to, I don't want to call them whistleblowers. That sounds big, but like, props to the people who continually reach out to journalists and people like me, other creators, and tell us what's going on behind the scenes. Because if they weren't to do that, we would have no idea what was going on at these organizations. So thank you.
God bless those folks.
God bless those people.
And God bless the Canadians, by the way. I almost forgot to mention that our shout outs are sponsored by Kiora. That's simple and smart text recruiting made cost effective by our friends at Kiora. And I almost love the Brits as much as I love the Canadians, which brings me to my first shout out. It goes to Hung Lee, not only my favorite porn star.
What are you doing, step bro?
But also one of my favorite pundits in the industry. Hung shot up some rainbows and sunshine and glitter up our ass in his newsletter, which you should be a subscriber to if you're not this week. Hung said of our show, quote, "Not everyone's cup of tea," which is kind of a backhanded comment by a Brit. But Chad and Cheese remains the best podcast in the business. Ooh, sharp, up-to-date industry coverage and commentary. Don't be fooled by the rambunctiousness. That's a really big word. There is serious analysis just underneath. So, Hung Lee, that deserves a shout out. Anyone who does that for us gets a shout out. That's a shout out.
That's wonderful. Well, I got one more. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Can you roll some footage? Can you roll some footage for the people who are actually looking at this on YouTube? In honor of
Chad, who's at a Champions League soccer game in the Netherlands, roll that beautiful bean footage. Here we go. Zuck as Elvis.
Yeah.
All right, for the listeners that had to hear that but not see it, what did we get to see, the YouTube, the watchers?
We just got to see, and we wish we could unsee, Mark Zuckerberg throwing his wife, Priscilla Chan, a 40th birthday party, a massive, beautiful soiree, as you would imagine, for a billionaire. And he decided to channel his inner Benson Boone, who I'm sure you have no idea who that is, Joel. But for those of you who don't, I'll also tell you, he won a Grammy. I believe he won a Grammy. He was at the Grammys and did a very, in-your-face performance whereby he came in wearing a tuxedo and then had someone rip it off of him mid-performance, and he revealed this very, very tight-fitting, form-fitting, skin-tight, really, light baby blue jumpsuit with a very deep V. Like, we're talking deep V. And Mark Zuckerberg decided, happy birthday, baby, happy 40th. I'm going to do that. Same thing. I'm going to pretend to be Benson Boone in front of everyone who I'm assuming they know and love, and make your birthday all about me. And so really sweet, probably the best birthday gift I could possibly imagine a husband giving a wife. And not only did he do it in the confines of that safe space, he then put it on the internet for all of us to see and digest. And now my eyes hurt. So, that's, I guess, money can't buy you taste, class, or style.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
I'm guessing it was not on TikTok. So maybe the TikTok users are safe from all that. But Reels,
I doubt LinkedIn
Reels
got
and
it either.
Instagram, you're screwed.
Yeah. I was like, what is, God damn it.
I'm curious. You're way hipper than I am. What do you think about Zuck's evolution of like super nerd hoodie flip-flops to now? I'm not exactly sure
like
how I would explain or
whatever.
describe. Yeah, the curly hair, the neck, the kickboxing. Would you rather have the old Zuck back?
100%.
Is the new Zuck okay? 100%. You'd rather go back to the...
Give me old, naive...
Jesse Eisenberg. Give me Jesse Eisenberg.
Give me that. I mean, I still wasn't like a huge fan of that vibe either. I mean, Facebook, the origins were like a way to rank girls' hotness on college campuses. Let's not forget that. So, and he also like screwed over his co-founders and stuff. So like, he's never really been someone that I would like prop up as someone to emulate. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But like this look... The thing is, this is a look, like it is a curated look. So literally someone is receiving money from team, Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, yeah. 100%. He's got a stylist, probably multiple. And it's like, who thought that wearing these stupid t-shirts with like symbols on them and this hair, like who thought that was a good idea? It's just this weird, and it comes at the same time as this like masculine energy, like him kissing up to these like bro influencers. It's just bizarre. And like, we all see you having this, it's essentially, I think it's a midlife crisis. And I was waiting for the divorce news to drop. And I was like, what?
It's like, I mean, where you live, I mean, Bezos went again from super nerd to like Terminator. And even,
totally
even Bill Gates went from like a paste eating dork to clearly PR got to him, and he had some like cool glasses and like sweater vests and shit like that.
But
so PR.
I'll stand Bill's look. Like it's still appropriate. I'm into it. Bezos, I was like, when he did the whole like, oh, who do we want as Bond next? I was like, I 100% think he's fishing for people to be like, you, sir, like you should be 007.
No chance. Well, I know you're down on Zuck and you're down on Meta. I'm going to give him a little love.
Give me that money.
All right, let's talk a little money. So every year they publish people who have given $1 billion or more to charity. You may not agree with the charities. You may think it's a big tax deal. But I want to mention the people who have given $1 billion because, God damn it, that's a lot of money to go to charity. We're talking people like Reed Hastings, Michael Bloomberg, Patti Quillin, who's Reed Hastings' wife, Dell Technologies, Michael Dell and his wife, Susan Dell, Warren Buffett, no shock, Facebook co-founder, Mark Zuckerberg, your buddy, and his wife, physician, Dr. Priscilla Chan, and retired Professor Ruth Gottsman have all given $1 billion. And for my money, if you're giving that kind of money to charity, I'm going to give you a shout out. I probably will not give them any free shit from Chad and Cheese, though, because they have enough stuff. Zuck does not need a Chad and Cheese t-shirt. But if you want a Chad and Cheese t-shirt, you got to go to chadcheese.com/free. Fill out the information, and we'll do our best to use my children's labor to get you a t-shirt out in the mail. Those are sponsored by our friends at Aaron Referrals. We also, not just t-shirts, Mo, we got whiskey. Our buddies at Van Hack, another fine Canadian business, and this comes tariff free to all of our listeners if they win that. They get whiskey. We've also got rum from our friends at Plum. We've got maple syrup aged in Pappy's barrels. That's from our friends at Kiora. And like I mentioned, if it is your birthday, then good times await. Really? Because there might be a bottle of rum from our friends at Plum.
I know I can. I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
Oh, just love that sponsorship. Plum lost. So people left Plum. We're hopeful that just for the fact that we can do that soundbite with this sponsorship, that they retain their sponsorship, even though they've lost a few of the people that used to be really close to us. Sorry, that's a side note. All right, let's get to the people that are celebrating another trip around the sun. Kyle, Kip Hager, Mel Skatson, Michael DeLoya, Robert Williams, Tracy Morris, David Altman, Ryan Gibbons, Chris Wallach, Craig Hunter, Amanda Hall, Emily Kunkel, Leanne Chase, and Dean DaCosta.
Happy birthday!
All celebrate another birthday this week. We will be traveling, Mo, and we will have some more quality time together, hopefully much better than the time that we spent at HR Tech not knowing.
We'll erase it,
exactly know what was going on. So we're headed to Transform in Vegas. That's going to be March 17th through the 19th, I believe. We will have a hangover suite party. If you're interested in joining us for that, hit Chad up or Mo up or anyone in this podcast for an invite to that. Chad and I will also be headed to Chicago on March 25th for the Recruiting Leaders Summit put on by the folks at RecFest. I love me some Chicago, Mo. I don't know if you enjoy the Windy City, but we're talking Italian beefs, we're talking Chicago dogs, we're talking deep dish, we're talking old style. Like, I love me some Chicago. For more events, you can head out to chadcheese.com/events, I think, and you can find out where Chad and I will be, and possibly Mo for a little bonus.
Little bonus.
Topics. All right, real quick. So this came across the wire this morning. Our friends at Employ, you may know them as Jobvite, Jazz HR, Lever, a few other ATSs. They've acquired Pillar, an interview intelligence tool. So it didn't make it to the show. Maybe we'll talk about it in more depth next week, but I wanted to throw that out there because I like to keep our listeners on the forefront of the news that's happening. Also kind of a bummer. The economic shit show continues. U.S. companies slowed hiring dramatically in February. That's according to ADP's monthly private payrolls report. Only 77,000 jobs were added last month, roughly half the estimate, and way below January's upwardly revised 186,000 jobs. So the bad times continue for the job market and for the job boards in most cases, Mo. Let's get to some real news from the past week. ZipRecruiter reported a tough Q4 with revenue dropping over 18% year over year to $111 million. Blaming soft hiring demand. Full year 2024 revenue fell 26.6% to $474 million, with a net loss of $12.9 million compared to a $49.1 million profit just in 2023. Shares hit a 52-week low on the news as Barclays, UBS, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan all adjusted their price targets for the stock to the downside. In fact, the only buyers of the stock may be the fans of the show Severance, which you can see on Apple. If you have not seen this commercial, here it is.
It's something.
A tide of bounty is rising at Lumen Industries, and we want you to be a part of it. That's why Lumen is partnering with ZipRecruiter to quickly fill exciting new roles across our global offices with talent like you.
Sure, let's do it.
People with qualities like wisdom, etiquette, and zeal.
Your work is important.
Badass. At Lumen, you can be so much more than yourself. Start today at ZipRecruiter. Hire better, hire faster with ZipRecruiter. Stream the new season of Severance January 17th on Apple TV+.
Mo, any thoughts on the news out of ZipRecruiter recently?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not surprising with like the world being such a dumpster fire that there would be fewer job openings on these job boards, right? But I guess my curiosity is really piqued when I think about like, well, how's their competition doing? Like, what's happening there? Because what I read in one of the articles we looked at was that, you know, those folks are doing a little better. So I guess I'm wondering, what's your take on that as an industry insider?
So say that again in a way that maybe I can understand it.
Competition. How are they doing?
Well, I mean, competition. So, I mean, ZipRecruiter is a shit show. I mean, it was down 25% on the news of the stock. Recruit continues to do pretty well, although their staffing industry or their staffing business is seemingly much more healthier than their job board business. I'm of the opinion that generative AI is going to kill Glassdoor. Because when I can go to generative AI and say, what's it like to work at Eli Lilly? I get a pretty good answer that doesn't like force me to go to Glassdoor and see their their reviews. So long term, I think it's really tough. We talked about the show last week where they have a walled garden. You have to log in. There's no search box. Like, imagine going to Google and there's no search boxes. Like, you'd freak out. What is this?
Rough UI.
That's basically what Indeed has done. LinkedIn is fine, but LinkedIn is a much more diversified business than those others. Globally, I mean, Seek, Stepstone, I mean, generally speaking, they're all very, very challenged businesses. And when I look at ZipRecruiter in particular, you know, public companies offer you a window into their business that private companies or a lot of companies don't. So in 2023, Chad and I spoke, and I brought up what I called the 4 horsemen of the job board industry. These are 4 trends that I saw that were really cutting into job boards and making life really, really tough for them. When I made this statement in 2023, ZipRecruiter stock was around $20, $22. Today, it's around $5 to $6. So in that short period, that's what ZipRecruiter has done. So my 4 horsemen were, number one, it was Google and LinkedIn. Google for jobs, people being able to find jobs and look at descriptions. We're going to keep people from going to those sites. LinkedIn, I can find anyone that I want for the most part. Automation, I think, hits the blue collar worker in a big way. Companies are automating. They want bots carrying, you know, boxes. They want, you know, people are getting squeezed out of the blue collar. You know, my local McDonald's is all kiosks when I order. There's no one at a cash register to take my money. That takes away from the jobs that are out there. And then AI, I think, on the white collar side, who needs a copywriter today? Every image that's created for everything is AI. Like, AI is doing so much of white collar jobs, and as we'll discuss in Who'd You Rather,
we'll get into
they're
that.
doing more of the customer service. They're doing more of the sales stuff. They're doing more of the marketing. So I think that is going to continue to chip away at job boards. And then the fourth one was, I just think, the gig economy phenomenon or freelancing. I think young people, like, I'd rather DoorDash, Uber, go do some stuff on Upwork or Fiverr, like, just diversify instead of like get a shitty job that I don't like. I think that's playing into this as well. Now, interestingly, when I made the statement, it was Google. I was talking to an executive late last year, and he said to me, the greatest threat to Indeed was Paradox. And I thought that was fascinating. And I thought about it, and it was pretty brilliant. But I have a recruiter, I have a tech, like, I have a co-pilot, I have an agent that will go out, talk to job seekers, go find them, go through the whole process. So why do I need to even post a job publicly available? So I think the job board industry is going to continue to suffer from this. And I think that ZipRecruiter's gradual decline is just an embodiment of that. They need to go private. It needs to be Career Builder plus Monster plus ZipRecruiter, or Recruit Holdings needs to add them to Glassdoor and Indeed. Like, somebody needs to take ZipRecruiter off the board, because they are failing pretty badly. But that is ZipRecruiter. Let's take a quick break after all this uplifting news and conversation, and we'll come back and play a little Who'd You Rather?
So you posted a new job ad. Now you can sit back and wait for the applications to roll in, right? That's why we built JobPixel. Imagine showing candidates why your company is great, with real people, real stories, and real culture. With JobPixel, it's not just another job ad. It's an invitation to something much bigger.
Video gives you a 3 times better response rate. So instead of chasing after candidates, they'll be coming to you.
And with a 34% boost in conversions, candidates aren't just looking, they're applying.
And if you're worried about people clicking away, don't be. Our videos reduce bounce rates by 25%. That means they're watching, they're engaged, and they're interested.
282% more engagement? Yeah, you're gonna need a bigger inbox.
Finding the right candidate is tough, but with JobPixel, it doesn't have to be. Show your company's authentic story, and the candidates will follow.
Let's make recruiting fun again, because honestly, it could use some help.
Do you want to see how JobPixel can save you time and money while achieving your KPIs? Schedule a demo today.
So, Mo, you've never played Who'd You Rather?
It's my first time.
All right. Well, if you're a first-time listener, here's how it goes, kids. We talk about two companies, startups that have recently gotten some funding. And at the end of the summaries, both Maureen and I will tell you who we would rather.
Doing, step bro.
Make sense, Mo?
Yes.
Enough sense? Yeah. By the way, she signed the contract, so there's no turning back. Let's play a little Who'd You Rather. All right, here. First up, in this corner, we have New York City-based HeyMilo. No relation to HiBob, by the way. They're an AI-powered candidate screening platform. They've raised $2.2 million in seed funding this week. The startup offers agents, an agent service that automates the initial interview screening process, autonomously conducts tailored interviews, asks follow-up questions, and delivers analysis. The company will use the funds to expand operations and develop further technologies. And in the other corner, it's Israeli-based Alta, an AI company specializing in virtual agents for sales and revenue operations. They've raised $7 million in seed funding. The company plans to use the funds to expand its global footprint and integrate its technology into enterprise sales and marketing infrastructures. And that is the two competing companies on Who'd You Rather. All right, Mo, we've got HeyMilo versus Alta. Who'd you rather?
I'm going Alta. Tomato. I'm really concerned with AI right now. I just had an experience that was like, it made my blood run cold. And it was with Claude by Anthropic, which is like allegedly one of the good guys out there, right? Like they're more ethical and they care about safety. Well, I put a press release into Claude to just see if it could help me with a summary so I could create a script. And it came back and it put in details that were just flat out not in the press release. And I was like, why did you write this? I didn't see it in the press release. And it wrote back like, sorry, I fabricated those details. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And so I wrote like, I don't understand. Why did you fabricate those details? And it was like, I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing. It actually creates problems with trust and credibility. And it goes against safe and ethical usage. And I was like, you still aren't telling me why you did it. Like, that makes no sense. It like proactively made shit up out of thin air. So my distrust in AI is higher than it's ever been. Apparently, like, it hallucinates all the time. And this is nothing new. I talked to a lot of people and like, oh yeah. And I was like, well, I feel like a lot of people just like take it as creed and just throw it out there and don't even think about it. So I'm a little concerned about that. And so when I think about what HeyMilo is doing, like on its face, sure, I understand the concept of like helping people, especially smaller HR teams who have like a glut of candidates coming in and all that, like 8 million applications or whatever. Like, I understand the concept of it, but I think there's so much opportunity for like unconscious bias and other stuff to seep into the process that's going to push people out who should be given a fair chance. And I'm not saying that HeyMilo does that. I have no idea. They might be the best thing ever to hit AI and, candidate recruitment. But I feel like there's slightly less concern for me when it comes to working with existing systems in sort of the revenue side of the organization, where you've got like hard numbers and things that are automated tasks potentially. Not to mention, I also really like that one of their AI automated agents is actually a dude named Alex. Like, they have Katie, Luna, and Alex. I'm like, finally, I'm so sick of them only being women. Thank you. We got Alex in there. So I just feel like there is, and also they have more money. So hopefully they could do more cool stuff. But I'm going Alta for those reasons.
Alta all day. There she goes.
All day, baby.
All right. So when I look at HeyMilo, my first instinct is to just say they're going to need a bigger boat. They are admittedly riding a good wave. There's an apex predator in this space called Paradox. There will be room for other players. I don't know. Again, they're going to need more money to make a difference, I would think. But we're going to see more and more of these sort of conversational AI, Copilot, agentic services. There's going to be a ton of them. There'll be, very few sort of competitors that evolve from that. Do they create a niche and become really good at, say, healthcare, or we're really good at a certain maybe blue collar jobs? I don't know. Maybe we're SMB only, but it's going to be really hard with the current landscape to do it. It's not that I'm necessarily bearish on HeyMilo, but I love me some Alta, similar to what you were saying. Look, every company that I know is thinking about how do we do what we do with fewer people.
Exactly.
And when services like this start dropping about like, hey, have an AI agent for all of your sales calls, all of your marketing shit, all of your customer service. And when you see demos of these products, it's not the olden days where it's like, press 1 if you'd like to get our contact information. Press 3 for like it feels, and it's more and more feeling like an actual conversation with a human being. Some of the sales are amazing. Like they know what time it is in the zone that they're calling. And, I mean, it's pretty incredible what we're seeing there. So every company is going to say, how do we replace 80% of our sales, customer service, and marketing team with AI? And these companies are in a prime position to make sure that they are there to get all the money when that gets spent. So Alta for me as well.
They swept.
Gets my who'd you rather. Feeling all hot and bothered. Time to talk about LinkedIn, obviously.
That's what we do. When we think LinkedIn, we get kind of hot.
I love checking cock. I do. I love it.
All right. LinkedIn from Vice. And a story entitled, quote, LinkedIn might be the worst social media app for Gen Z, end quote. Can you say clickbait? Anyway, social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok often spark envy by showcasing curated highlight reels of people's lives, making users feel inferior. Less noticed, but equally potent, LinkedIn triggers what they're calling, quote, LinkedIn envy, driving some to delete their profiles due to constant self-comparison with others' exaggerated professional achievements. Users report feeling terrible about themselves, with the platform becoming an egocentric breeding zone, quote, full of cringeworthy inflated job titles, like someone claiming to be director of security when they're just a frontline support vendor. Mo, LinkedIn envy. It's a thing. Your thoughts?
It's a thing. You're right. That was such a clickbait headline for sure. Because let me tell you, I think it's that way for every generation. And I think it's just like the job version of the envy, right? Like Instagram's like the curated, like, this is my home, this is a day in the life. And this is just like professional version, right? But I can 100% attest to that feeling. Like I remember feeling that way often earlier in my career. So maybe that's sort of the Gen Z aspect, is these people are earlier in their career. And now I know better because I'm like, yeah, that doesn't check out. Like you write your Harvard MBA, but then I go and I ask, this actually happened. This is a great story. I had a company that was acquired by a private equity firm, and my new boss, I went on LinkedIn to look him up, and I was like, oh, who's this guy? Like, I'm going to have, what's essentially a job interview for the job I currently hold. And when I met him, I was like, oh, I'm going to talk about Boston because he went to Harvard and I went to Tufts, and perfect. Like, we'll just chat Boston. I get on the phone with him. I'm like, so Boston. He's like, he got like really uncomfortable, and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, that was an online certificate. And I was like, dude, bro, like you can't write Harvard MBA if you had an online certificate, and that stuff is all over the place on LinkedIn. So first of all, things are not what they seem always. That was like such an amazing moment, by the way. But it also just encapsulated for me, like you don't know what people are saying on there, whether it's true or not. And people get to certain places and rungs on the ladder by a lot of different things, including luck and who you know. So it's just like, I don't really look at it in the same lens. I don't feel bad about myself anymore because I think so much of it is nonsense. But I think before you kind of have been around the block, like that could probably impact your worldview a little bit more. And it totally makes sense. Like everyone, or a lot of people on there are just like, dude, I just got promoted and I'm making like $1 gazillion and here's my hack to do it. And, it's just, there's a lot of that on there. But I personally don't think it's any worse than what you see on Instagram. It's just like in the professional realm. Oop, lost my earbud.
That's all right. So one of the aspects of the story that I thought was interesting was that there's a sense that you can't delete LinkedIn because it's your professional footprint. Whereas I want to leave X, like I'm out, or
So
Reels
true.
is stupid, I'm not going to join. Like LinkedIn does have this, you have to be on it feel. So I do think that is a difference between LinkedIn and other platforms. And so far, no one can dethrone LinkedIn. Like social media, it feels like every 5 years there's a new thing that everyone can join or change up.
I agree with that though. You can't.
Polywork we mentioned was a like kids the kids needed a LinkedIn and they're gone.
They're gone. So
for the meantime, LinkedIn tends to be it. My sister, who's late to the game on LinkedIn, was hit on for the first time on LinkedIn. And I'm curious because I've never been on LinkedIn. I'm sure that shocks you. But I also don't know any men who have, or at least have admitted to that. But it seems like a serious problem with women. Are you finding that with you and your friends that are female?
Yes, I have had marriage proposals, or maybe they were marriage threats. Like I've gotten, I will marry you. And I'm assuming English, not first language for this person, but like stuff like that comes and you're just like what? Like, what are you talking about? Right.
So it's more sarcasm, like shot in the dark thing. But like never...
I mean, I don't know his intentions, but I was like, I will marry you sounds like a threat.
Yeah, I've never gotten that marriage proposal.
Maybe, don't worry, don't sell yourself short. It could still happen. But it's like, and I'm not the only one who has this happen. Like other women that I talk to have this kind of stuff occur often. So it's a thing for sure. But to your earlier point, like you absolutely need to have a LinkedIn profile. Like that's where I think it's like 90% of recruiters look to LinkedIn for jobs. Like I read that somewhere. Don't quote me exactly, but it was something super high. And anytime you want to do any sort of networking, you have to go to LinkedIn to see where people are and who they're connected to and all that. And so you might not like it, but you should at least have like a shell profile. I'm not saying you have to go post every day or something to become a super user, but you should at least have something. And maybe if it makes you feel like shit, don't go on it a lot, but like you need to have something there.
Yeah, it really has become a necessity. I mean, I have an 18-year-old son who's going to college, and I mean, it sounds horrible, but I'm like, dude, LinkedIn is probably not going anywhere. And people are lazy. People like shorthand. They like quick sort of glance and get a sense of who you are. And so, I really pushed him into a brand name school, which he is. He's going to Indiana, so he's going to like a Big Ten school. I'm going to try to push him into like internships with brand name companies because that's what employers want to see. They want to see in a college they know. Yep. They want to see interns and companies that they recognize. And to your point, I think people are really focused on padding their profiles, and whether that's right out lying or I'm going to get that quick online certificate or whatever to say that I went to Yale and have Yale. And then they put that in their top of the profile. Yes, like that's their main. Yeah,
that is exactly what this guy I was talking about did. And I was like, oh my, come on, man. Like,
so there's obviously a lot of pressure. On Tinder, it's I'm 6'3" and totally. And here it's I went to Harvard.
Yep.
And
I'm the CEO, of my own one-person company that's in stealth mode. Like what, like that's the kind of stuff you see.
Should LinkedIn crack down on that? Should LinkedIn have some sort of verification or that's getting pretty rampant from what I can tell. It'd be nice if they had something.
It would be. I don't know how exactly they do it, but if there's a will, there's a way. It might be a good idea. At least crack down on the scams, right? Because there are enough scams on there. That's the thing I see as more disturbing than anything else. The other stuff you can kind of filter out, like
where there's a dollar, there's a way. I mean,
exactly.
Someone who went to an Ivy League school would pay LinkedIn to have like a check mark at their college at the top of their profile.
Verified Yale student. Like, you're right.
If you're paying to $250,000 to go to school and get a degree, like you'll pay $100 a year or whatever to get that
strong
verification.
Point. That's another money making move for them. Yeah.
A new frame around your profile.
They're going to crush.
Ivy League, Ivy.
Yeah.
You have Ivy. Super
smart. Mm-hmm. That's a really great
You're welcome,
call.
LinkedIn. I just want
there you go.
I want 15%.
You should get a cut.
15% of everything.
For sure. But yeah, there is a lot of opportunity, I'll say, for Gen Z to get on LinkedIn, because like a lot of people aren't in Gen Z. And my social media consultant / video guy, like he realized recently, he was like, holy shit, I need to be on LinkedIn. Like, why am I only on Instagram? And I was like, I've been telling you, guy, like you should get on here, because it's just, there's a dearth of voices in that space. Yeah. So why not?
And now that they have video, you're going to see more of this sort of FOMO
TikTok-y
stuff on LinkedIn.
Stuff,
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Let's take a quick break, and I don't know. We'll talk about women empowerment, or the lack thereof.
Hospitality is the heart of our society. It brings people together to share great food, drinks, and experiences. But successfully managing a restaurant or hotel is no easy feat. That's where Harri comes in. Harri is the frontline employee experience platform that helps you build, manage, and engage great teams. With Harri, managers can easily find and hire top talent, manage timekeeping, and communicate with employees at any time from any place. Candidates and team members can quickly and efficiently apply for jobs, swap shifts, and access important information entirely from their mobile devices. And Harri's robust employee engagement tools make team members feel more connected than ever. With Harri, as an owner or operator, you get a bird's eye view of your business, from turnover cost, labor cost, employee sentiment, compliance risk, and team performance. Run your business better by understanding the power of your people. Because when your team is the heart of your business, Harri is the heartbeat. See how it transforms your business.
All right, a new survey from HiBob says only 1 in 3 women say they feel empowered to perform at their best at work, and less than 10% of women said they have a formal mentor at work. So 90% do not. More good news for women. Sarcasm inserted. 34% of men surveyed said they earned a promotion in 2024, compared to 22% of women, while 46% of men said they received a raise last year, compared to 32% of women. Mo, you're a woman. Thoughts?
Yep. Therefore, I will speak for all women. Yeah, this tracks. This totally tracks. It's rough out there. I mean, that survey hit on a lot of points that have been continual frustrations for women in the workplace, right? Like, it's just, we're not getting that upward mobility. We're not reaching the higher levels of the organizations. Part of that's due to not having, a mentor or an advocate, right? Like that's totally a thing. And I also noticed in that whole survey, it was interesting to see the degree to which presenteeism and like actually button seat in an office, like people were saying how much that mattered, both men and women, but they were saying it mattered for different reasons. The women were saying it was important to be there so that their colleagues and other people around them could see their contributions. And men were saying that it was important because they needed to show their boss there, like to climb the ladder, essentially. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I feel like there's this persistent, frankly, as a myth that if you do good work, you're going to be rewarded as a woman, and women buy into that. And it's like, no, that's not quite enough. But the mentorship thing is a really big issue, and not having representation of women at upper ranks of the organizations, that's super hard too, because it's if you can't see it, you can't really be it. Right. And that's truly a problem. And so I also thought that was a very long survey, and they went into a lot of different details, which was really cool. I think everyone should check it out. But another thing that I thought was interesting was men thought that the way their companies thought about women was emblematic and signified by like the company culture. And women didn't think that. They were like, no, it's not about the culture. We don't care about this performative bullshit. It's like, are you actually giving me benefits that help me? Are you giving flexibility? All of this. So it's more like, put your money where your mouth is. Organizations like, do you have childcare support? Do you have maternity leave? Do you have paternity leave? Right? Because the way things that are going to actually become more equitable for women in the workplace is when dudes take paternity leave. Like, that is, I think, one of the single most important things organizations can do is encourage and inspire men within the organization to take that leave as well. That levels the playing field in a way that nothing else really will. So yeah, none of this surprises me. It's tough. Women are facing burnout at higher rates than men. There are all sorts of reasons for that. Another thing I thought was really interesting in the survey was the result that women were like excited to get away from the house to go to the office because they wanted to get away from their family. And I was like, that also tracks. Like, I get it, So nothing like groundbreaking in there, very much in line with what I feel, what I've seen other women around me over the course of my corporate career feel and experience. So we got some work to do.
The meatloaf!
The good news is, I'm sure in Trump's second term, things will balance out.
It's going to get better
than they have.
So hopeful.
Yeah, I can tell.
It's a great time.
So they surveyed 2,000 employees, full-time employees, primarily in hybrid or in-office environments. So it's a pretty good survey, pretty good number of people.
Yeah, pretty decent.
51% identified as women. So it was a pretty even-handed set of data. I do think that on the support side, there has been, I think, a challenge in the Me Too era and the cancel culture that men are just afraid to do mentoring. And this could be things like mentoring a child, because as Professor Galloway always says, like, the Catholic Church and Michael Jackson fucked it up for young boys, because men can't have a relationship with a young boy because everyone looks at it and goes, oh, is something going on there? Like, what? That looks kind of weird. And I think that there's probably some hurdles for men to think about, I'm going to mentor this female, for obvious reasons that come into play, right? Are they having a relationship? Are they fooling around? Da, da, da. I mean, so I think there's a barrier there that
does
is
happen.
Maybe not there going the other way around. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think that is prevalent. But I do think that more and more tools that are coming out, Coach Hub is a company that we've talked about that will mentor you through technology, and it's male, female, whatever, but there's no boundary about, hey, if I get close to this person, physically, I'm in their proximity, like, people are going to do what?
Is it all remote? Is that what you mean by that? Like, it's not in-person mentoring?
Coach Hub got a ton of money recently, and it's sort of like an online mentor. So they coach you up, they look at what you're doing and, like, help you with certain things like how to sell and sales process, and sort of mentor you that way. So let's say, like, Mike Krzyzewski's, like, mentoring you on how to relate to people or talk to people or negotiate. I think that will help level the playing field a little bit from that standpoint. One of the things that I'm interested in from you, because it's usually a man on the other side of this podcast, I want to talk about the crab crawling out of the bucket phenomenon. If you don't know about this,
familiar with that one.
if you put crabs in a bucket, if one of them crawls out, they will pull it back in. In other words, they won't allow one of their own to climb up and sort of escape. And there's a psychologist named Dr. Naomi Ellemers who talks about women in a similar way, that women are sometimes their own worst enemy because women don't champion other women the way that they should. And women there's a hesitancy to strive for something because of how it will look to other women. And I'm curious your thoughts on, I guess, women being maybe sometimes their own worst barrier to success. Is that off, or do you sort of relate to that?
I do relate to that. And I think it's like got a very logical reasoning behind it, right? It's like there are only so many seats at the table, right? And so there's this sense of competition and, oh, I've got to get that one seat because, there aren't that many women in the corporate world, right? Representation is off. It's definitely not the 51% of the population, right? For a host of reasons. So I think that there is some component of that is accurate. I've seen some women be super threatened by other high achieving women at their organizations. That's certainly a thing. Just kind of like that scarcity versus abundance mindset, really at its basic form, right? Like, oh shit, there's like only so many times I can get the shot, right? So I think there's some truth to that for sure. I do think that there is a really big push for that not to be the case, because we recognize, like, that's not how anyone's going to get better. That's not how this is going to improve. Like, we really need to proactively surround ourselves with women who we want to promote and, sing the praises of. And so it's really, I think, a huge building movement that, there's this whole hype woman movement, right? Like women cheering other women on. And this concept of, like, there's plenty of room for all of us. Like, there's enough room at this table. You don't need to do that. So I really think that's shifting. But I think traditionally that was kind of a thing. And but getting back to the men. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you keep an eye on, I don't know if you follow WNBA, Caitlin Clark, when she came into the league? Not at all. So it always shocked me how she comes into the league, everyone watches, arenas, sell out, and then all the other players like want to beat her down and like tear her down. And I always thought that was really strange because her success is becoming their success, and the rising tide raises lifts all the boats.
Yeah.
So yeah, while I had you on, I wanted to get your take.
I'm glad I could speak for all women. I will say that I don't
universal truths for sure.
Yeah,
but
right.
But I am curious.
Women. I will say, when it comes to the other conversational point, which was around men not being comfortable taking on mentoring younger women, I don't think companies are intentional about mentorship. I don't think they're thinking through like, how can we do this? And that's hurting Gen Z a lot. I mean, there was a study that came out by Adobe that said that 83% of Gen Z wanted a mentor and only 42% of them had one, right? Something like that. Or maybe it was like 53%. But there was a big delta there. And so I don't think companies are like being intentional about this at all. So I don't know if it really has anything to do with male, female. Certainly in some situations, I can imagine that playing out. But I think that companies just flat out are not recognizing the value of mentorship and not facilitating it. So
do you think a woman in an executive or management position feels comfortable taking on, an entry level or a new employee and mentoring them? Or do you think that that's an uncomfortable scenario for women?
I mean, I know that when I was at a past company, my then boss, who was a man, proactively sought out a mentorship opportunity for me with the highest ranking female in our department. And that was awesome. And she took it on like with a lot of excitement and was great. And that was all him. Like, kudos to him for seeing like, hey, I'm gonna help her find her way here, and like setting that up for me.
Had he not intervened, do you think that connection would have happened?
Maybe over the course of time, if she got to know my work, right? She was like 17 layers above me. So that would have been a very small chance. So it may not have, but that was really instrumental to me at that organization. Like, it super helped define the path I was on, helped me feel a lot of confidence. She helped me through, hey, I'm coming up on my maternity leave. Like, what's the vibe? Tell me about it. Like she showed me what she had done and, told me all the sort of things to expect, which like otherwise I don't think I would have gotten. So, I think in short, like having a manager who advocates for you and looks out for you and provides those opportunities to you is just like so baller. And it does not happen enough. Like it really has only happened to me like once, twice, maybe in my career. And that's just like sheer good fortune of being with a leader who gets it, right? So like it can't be understated how important it is, like where you happen to fall at a certain organization and who your manager is. And like, I mean, you're always one management change away from hating your job is the reality, right? So
you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, saying there's a chance, man.
There's a chance. Which brings us to this week's dad joke. Are you ready?
Oh God, I'm nervous. Okay, yeah.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm easing you into it. And my sister who listens now said, "Oh, that one joke was not good." So we're gonna pull it back a little bit today. What do you call guys who make women in the kitchen jokes? What do you call guys who make women in the kitchen jokes?
Assholes.
Single.
That's good. That is good. I love that. That's accurate.
That's Mo, everybody. And that's another one in the can. We out.
We out.
Thank you for listening to, what's it called? A podcast. The Chad. The Cheese. Brilliant. They talk about recruiting. They talk about technology. But most of all, they talk about nothing. Just a lot of shout-outs of people you don't even know. And yet you're listening. It's incredible. And not one word about cheese. Not one. Cheddar, blue, nacho, pepper jack, Swiss. So many cheeses and not one word. So weird. Anywho, be sure to subscribe today on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. That way you won't miss an episode. And while you're at it, visit www.chadcheese.com. Just don't expect to find any recipes for grilled cheese. It's so weird. We out!